今度は私に任せて。いいか？そう、水ポケモンは釣り上げるのが一番。いいか？
オッケーかすみ、二人で釣り上げようぜ。ってことで頼む、ベイリーフ。
Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Aim to Be a Pokemon Master, Episode 7, Riding on Lapras, which is a reference to the old school ending theme with the same name, and they even brought that back as the ending for this episode too. Anyways, this was the 1228th episode of the Pokemon anime, and I don't really have as much time as I do to make my review this week, so I am doing something a little bit different, and instead of taking several hours to script the video and carefully choose what I'm going to say, I'm just doing this totally off the cuff and unscripted. So we'll see how this goes. If you think you enjoyed this, then go ahead and let me know in the comments, but if you didn't, don't worry, I'll probably change back to the old format next week. Before we dive into the episode, I of course want to shout out Green Tornado, my favorite channel member. If you'd like to support me and get a shout out at the beginning of each of my videos, go ahead and click the join button. But if you just like to support my channel for free, why don't you go ahead and check out my latest video that I posted where I ranked all of Ash's Kalos gym battles. I think this is the best video I've posted in months, so just go ahead and watch that and click the like button if you'd be so kind. Alright, this is already sounding super awkward trying to do this unscripted, so let's just get into the episode. So the episode starts with everyone at the seaside watching some Wailmer bouncing up and down. There's a figure that comes over the horizon looking very stressed out. It's a Lapras, and even though Pikachu's the first one to recognize it, everyone else quickly catches on that it's the Lapras that Ash had back during the Orange Islands days. Lapras didn't just come to hang out and play games though, it wants everyone to follow it, so they hop on its back and it's time for an adventure. They eventually arrive at this tiny island in the middle of the ocean where all there is some water type Pokemon around there. They try to figure out what's going on, and it was pretty funny actually when they pan across the screen showing Misty and Ash squinting to see what was going on, and well, Brock can't really squint, I guess. It turns out there's another Wailmer, but this one is stuck in a hole, and well, it's gonna take everyone's help to try and get it out. We even see a Latias sighting early on. Usually Latias only just shows up for a quick cameo at the end, but Latias did make a couple different appearances throughout this episode. We also catch a glimpse of Team Rocket off in the distance, watching on from their Magikarp submarine, plotting their next move. Ash calls out some reinforcements to help him. His plan is just have everyone smash the ground around Wailmer, which will allow it to break free, but unfortunately the rock is incredibly hard and it just sends everyone flying, including Ash getting sent into this cave. Thankfully, he has even more Pokemon on hand. This time Heracross helps him out. Misty's got an idea of what to do though. They're gonna try and fish Wailmer out. Ash calls out Bayleaf for some reason, and Bayleaf is one of my favorite Pokemon that Ash has, so always happy to see Bayleaf. Ash tells her to hold on to Misty while Heracross grabs onto Ash, so they stay in place as they try to fish Wailmer out. This plan does actually work. They manage to pry Wailmer out of the hole it was stuck in, and it's so happy that it just keeps bouncing up and down really high into the sky. I'm not sure how it was able to get this much hang time, but unfortunately it ends up going back into the cave, and then right at this moment it decides to evolve. Well, I don't know if it decided to evolve, but now that it's a giant Wailord, it is stuck once again. Ugh. Everyone is kind of looking at it like, well, what are we gonna do now? But Pikachu turns around and spots something off in the distance. Oh yeah, he's got an idea. Let's cut to Team Rocket's oh, it's Pikachu, hello! And Team Rocket come out to try and capture Pikachu, but as soon as it threatens them, well, they're ready to fall in line. Ash and the others are excited to see that Pikachu has rounded up some enthusiastic volunteers, and they think that the Magikarp submarine will do a good job helping them get the Wailord out. Little did they know that the Magikarp submarine is man-powered, but still, it'll get the job done. This is the first episode of this mini-series where Ash actually has 6 Pokemon on hand. I mean, technically 7 of his Pokemon if you count Lapras. He calls out Torterra of all Pokemon, who he leaves in Brock's care as they latch onto Team Rocket's submarine, which has Pikachu guiding the troops from the inside. While meanwhile on land, Misty has everyone grab onto Torterra's Frenzy Plant, which is being used to pry Wailord out from the hole. If you're wondering what Ash's part of the plan is, he took Bayleaf and Heracross inside the cave and is tickling Wailord? What? There's a pretty funny scene where Team Rocket gets some kind of energy drink or something like that. I don't really know what this was, so someone in the comments can let me know. But it fires them up a lot to like some kind of video game power-up, and now suddenly the plan is in place. Wailord eventually starts to glow. I guess this was it building up a heavy slam attack, which eventually does break through the rock and allows Wailord to get free. Nice. Brock doesn't waste any time and has Torterra jump off the Team Rocket submarine as fast as it can. This doesn't really send Team Rocket blasting off again, but this was the last time we saw them in this episode. Back on land, it looks like the day is saved and everyone is back together, except for Ash. Yeah, apparently Wailord's heavy slam caused a mini cave-in, and now Ash is stuck in there, which is very problematic because the tide's rising, and oh, look at how sad Bayleaf is. That just hurts my heart. And the solution they come up with to save Ash is just so unnecessarily complicated in my opinion. Lapras uses Ice Beam to freeze all the water between itself and Ash before Wailord uses Weather Ball to carve out this weird underwater ice tunnel thing, which it glides heads all the way through to reach Ash. And again, I don't really know why it couldn't have just swam there normally, but anyways, Ash hops on its back and they glide back on through, and the day is saved. Wailord celebrates by sending some water shooting out of its spout, which creates a miniature rainbow, and even Latias is celebrating. Cut to later that day, and it's time for Ash and friends to say goodbye to Lapras now. The rest of its herd is here to come pick it up. Honestly, I don't really know why Ash's Lapras was separated from its herd this whole episode. They didn't really establish it that much. They try to come up with some kind of a reasoning like that it was migrating through this area, but again, I don't really know why Lapras came crying over towards Ash. I don't think it knew Ash was there, but maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, it's obviously an emotional goodbye as Lapras starts to swim away. The episode comes to an end with everyone wondering, couldn't we have just caught Wailmer in a Pokeball? Wouldn't that have made this whole process a lot easier? And actually, no, this has already been established in the anime that you cannot catch a Pokemon too firmly attached to the ground. We first saw this with the Celesteela back in the Sun and Moon series, and then again with Marshtomp earlier in Journeys, so why then would this Wailmer be able to get caught? He was obviously stuck in the ground. Anyways, I'm definitely overanalyzing this joke. Let's just hurry up and get to my rating for the episode. Okay, so what did I think about this episode? This is definitely the part where I would have loved to have had a script, so let me try and collect my thoughts. I know a lot of people have been underwhelmed with this miniseries so far, saying that basically nothing is happening and every episode has essentially been filler, and this is the episode that kind of epitomizes that the most in my opinion. Like, the plot for this episode was kind of boring. The only thing that makes this episode memorable at all is the fact that there are so many returning characters in there, especially Ash's Lapras coming back after so long. And honestly, this makes me want to compare it to the last time we saw Ash's Lapras, which was in episode 257 of the original series, and honestly, these episodes were kind of similar, except that this Journeys episode was just worse. Now's not the time for me to turn this into an episode 257 review, but let's just say there was actual plot development in that one, and it was more of a reunion of Ash and his Lapras, not this time where Lapras just kind of showed up, was on the sidelines, and then left. Like, it really kind of felt like they were forcing Lapras back in here as an important character, even though it didn't really do anything at all. I think the last part of the episode was really contrived, where it had to help Ash out from the cave. I mean, it's pretty obvious that this was meant to be a callback to Ash and Lapras sliding on the ice in Ash's first Orange League gym battle, but I don't know, like I said, I just couldn't really take it seriously because I thought it was just so unnecessary. And even though I've really enjoyed a lot of the other episodes in this series where it showed off different ways of Ash exemplifying what it means to be a Pokemon Master, I feel like nothing new happened in this episode and it didn't really show us anything that interesting. With that said, there were some funny moments and I did like the way all of these returning characters interacted. It's nice seeing them all again, but ultimately that's only enough for me to give this episode a 5 out of 10 rating. Yeah, not great, but what can we do? Well, I guess we can try and look forward to the next episode, so let's do that. And to me, this episode kind of just looks like your standard Pokemon anime episode where a ghost or dark type Pokemon, in this case a Baynet, is going around terrorizing the town and causing all kinds of chaos, causing people to turn against it, but in actuality, it's not doing anything wrong and people end up helping it at the end of the day. I'm looking forward to seeing Ash's Gengar get some of the spotlight, and one thing that I found particularly interesting is that if we zoom in really far into this picture, we can see what I believe to be Baynet's former owner, and mainly just because of the pink hair, I am going to call my shot in this one and say that the Nurse Joy in this town is actually Baynet's former owner, and that's why it's hanging around Nurse Joy. Looking ahead at some other news, they announced 2 new characters for the upcoming series of the Pokemon anime. It looks like one of them is some kind of professor, and his partner Pokemon is going to be, you guessed it, a Pikachu. I was kind of curious at how they were going to shoehorn Pikachu into being front and center of this new Pokemon story, and I guess now we have our answer. Honestly though, I don't really have a whole lot else to say about this news. I just thought it was interesting to mention now, and of course it would make good clickbait for my title and thumbnail, which unfortunately that's just YouTube. You have to do that stuff nowadays. I really wish I didn't have to. Alright, I guess I've rambled on for long enough now. Hopefully this wasn't too much of an unscripted mess, and like I said before, probably going to go back to the old way of doing things next week when I have a little bit more time to get this review done. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure you hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll do one last shout out for my Ash's Colossus Gym Battles ranked video. I think it's really good, so if you haven't checked it out yet, go ahead and click the link on screen right now. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.